The cannons have their bowels full of wrath. Ready mounted are they to spit forth their iron indignation against your walls. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Quick quote from William Shakespeare there. Thank you for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Today, it's the big one, literally. It's the Wingnut Wings Gotha G.1. The first big heavy bomber of this scale, probably ever, I think, from the First World War, obviously. I am going to have to do a review here, and today I'm drinking my humble coffee because it's such a big challenge, this one. I thought I'd better be absolutely on top form, so I'm having a cup of coffee. Hope you forgive me. Keep me on, maximum alert. Make sure that I am on top form. So, no, there's no alcohol in the coffee. no, just coffee. So, the Gotha. We've got to get the pronunciation right because a lot of people get this wrong. How do I know the pronunciation? Well, I used to work for a company that had a factory in the town of Gotha, which is where this is named after. It's Gotha, as in goat, with an A on the end. Let's have a look at what we got now. This is another opening of the Lost Ark of Wingnut Wings kits. And this is one of the two key prizes I managed to get my hands on. The precious, yeah, the precious. Ooh. Oh, calm down. So, we're going to have a proper look at it. Let's take a look straight away without further ado. And no doubt we will get a nice bit of the history. Beautiful artwork, isn't it? We've got some, is it DH9? Mine's gone. DH9? It's a de Havilland, isn't it? Anyway, and we've got some Fokker Eindeckers in the picture. Big battle going on there. Over the snow, it looks like, during the winter. Probably winter of 1916-17, I expect. Here we go. The highly distinctive twin-engined Gotha G.1 of 1915. So it was actually created before the war started. It's an important aircraft as it set Gotha Wagenfabrik on the path to building the more conventional bombers that they became famous for later. The aircraft that would serve as the prototype for the Gotha G.1 was designed by Oskar Eurisnus, the founder and editor of Flugsport magazine, Airsport, to the German Army's Type 3 aircraft specification of a 200 horsepower, 3-seater able to fly at over 120 kilometers an hour and carry 450 kilograms bomb load for up to 6 hours. Sounds like a long flight in this thing. Ursinus proposed the idea of building the Kampfflugzeug battle plane to FEA-3 Commander John Friedel in August of 1914, just as the First World War was about to begin, and it took to the air at the end of January 1915. Yes, what was I saying? Of course, 15 is a year after the war started. Sorry. I get fixated on 1916 because it's the Battle of the Somme for some reason, I don't know why. The high proportion of the partially armoured plated fuselage offered great visibility but very little protection for its crew in the event of a nose-over crash. Well, we saw that with a couple of the others like the AEG, didn't we? Especially the front. Additionally, it was considered to be underpowered, difficult to fly, and the fuselage design was considered rather weak. It's no wonder it looks very thin and incredibly long. After further evaluation and major changes, the FU was sent to the Eastern Front for operational trials. The licence to build the FU, Kampfflugzeug, was allocated to Gotha Wagenfabrik in March of 1915, with an initial production order of 6 aircraft placed the following month. The initial production aircraft, Gotha G.1 9/15, was completed in July 1915 and powered by 260 horsepower Daimler Mercedes D3 engines, which we've seen a lot of already. But the next 11 aircraft were powered by the 150 horsepower Benz BZ3 engines, as featured on this model. Oh, that's good, it's got different engines, that's good. The final 6 aircraft featured a 160 horsepower Daimler Mercedes D3. The fast progressing development of the aircraft of combat aircraft generally meant that the G1 was considered obsolete shortly after it entered service, and almost all of them had been retired from frontline service by February 1916. Wow, that didn't last long, did it? Under a year. A single Uranus Wasser Doppeldecker, Wasser being water, the UWD float plane version was completed in late 1915 and served until October 1916 when it was destroyed in a crash. More on that plane later. Anyway, let's have a look at this. Now, we know the rules of Wingnut Wings. I'm not going to be able to open the bags, unfortunately, because this is worth an absolute small fortune. Well, not a small fortune, a medium fortune. But we'll have a really good look at it, see how we get on. And that coffee will help me stay alert and sharp. This is going to take a while, I think. So I'm going to gently put that over there. It won't be damaged at all. And we've got some big sprues. Oh, we put it in an overall bag. Oh, that's interesting. One great big bag. Ah, now then, that complicates things, doesn't it? Well, I think I shall have to take it out of its overall bag. I can reseal that, that's fine. I can't show you it otherwise, so I'm going to sacrifice myself. Not quite. Make a small sacrifice and remove it. I have to do it very carefully. This is the first time, obviously it's the first time I've opened it, which is why I'm confronted by this. Well, that has been sealed. I'm not sure that's been done in the factory actually anyway, so I don't think we're going to worry too much about it. Perhaps it was just that they wanted to keep them extra protected. So if you'll bear with me a second, this might take a moment or two. I wasn't expecting to open any bags, so I wasn't really prepared for this. Just pop it this way, I think. A little bit tricky this, and a little bit tricky resealing it as well. I really have done it a bit tight, to be honest. Not quite academy tight, mind you, know. Within about a millimetre of the air screws themselves, but tighter than I expected, to be honest. Right, there we go. I've undone it. The bag is open. Look at what I do for my subscribers and followers and viewers. Oh, I do spoil you. Look at that. What have I done? What have I done? It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. That'll soon reseal again. He says. I'm sure it will. The actual truth is I'm not sure why they've done that, because they don't normally. They have got this additional the outer bag really serves no purpose other than for transit, I think. It's got a reminder that it's kit 045 actually. 0132 is just the scale, of course. G1. Pop that over there. So, now these bags I'm not going to open for obvious reasons. Because they are sealed, factory sealed. So what we'll do is we'll start, I think, otherwise we'll get bogged down here too much. We'll start with that over there, and I'll pluck them out one at a time. And we will have a good look. Now we have got some repetitive, yes that is repetitive, that is a repeat sprue, so that one I'll put to one side anyway. Let's get into the Gotha. Although, I'm going to read you a bit of this because it's a big kit and it's... Actually, the instructions don't seem as big as I expected. I thought it was going to be bigger. That seems smaller than the other kit. I'm sure I've got two different sizes of brochure. Although built in very limited numbers, the highly distinctive twin-engine Gotha G1 became an important aircraft. Well, it's going to tell you quite a lot of what we've already just talked about. I think we'll skip that because it'll take too long. Right, so we'll zoom you in. I should put my zoom-ear glasses on. Sign of old age, isn't it? There we go. Let's zoom in and see what we got. So obviously we've got our usual colour call out, the decal call out I should say, with these the early Eisenkreuz type crosses. From the start of the war they were all like that, and then of course they went to a more simple bar cross later. We've got, interestingly, we've got two different types. One you won't use, which I presume is in the UWD then, possibly later, that's purpled out there. Can you see that? That's the elevators.
And then we have, I'm going to just change the angle of my camera, by the way, because I think that I've got a slight issue with it at the moment. It's just a little bit on the high side. I'll bring you down, and that's it. That's better. So, sprue mat, showing there's quite a few propellers on that sprue I've just mentioned, which is just over here, we'll get to in a second, but there's 3 propellers on there we're not going to use. So that's quite interesting. Then we've got our decals, obviously with the photo etch. Although, have you said, they've made a mistake. Look, they've made an error. That's a rare thing, isn't it? They've got it wrong way around. Look. It says decals, and it shows photo etch, and then it says photo etch, and it says decals. See that? Ah, that's a rare error. Okay, they're not perfect then. Do I mark them down for that? No, I don't think so. Right. Which wouldn't it? Let's get into the cockpit then. So, building your cockpit floor up, and you've got to drill a hole for the Goetz bomb sight. You've got the typical German safety belts here, all featured in this photo. I'm still having trouble with my camera. I think I've now gone too low. I'm sorry about this. Got a slight blitz today with the positioning. Not quite what we thought it was. That's better. Let's try again. That's better. Yes, there's the belt, typical safety belt. You've got these a bomb cage hatch. You've got to put in there. That's quite interesting. You've got your control column, rudder pedals, and obviously the front of the aircraft, the pilot's seat there. Looks nice, doesn't it? With a cushion. They always have these very nice, comfy looking seats. Well, apart from that one on the AEG, where the commander had this like stool to sit on for about 6 hours. That doesn't look too good. And then, interestingly here, you've got commander's instrument board and document shelf. That looks very cool, doesn't it? Oh wow, that is interesting. Map and document cases on the other. So they've got all these places for you to keep out in the wind with all your documents so they don't blow away. Fuel tank wall, and on that you've got magazines and another commander's seat that looks very rudimentary. Gosh. And then the fuselage section can be seen. Note the fuselage assembly brackets and the semicircular crawlway access. Oh, okay, this is for crawling from section to section. So that's for the commander to crawl into here. Where are we? I think he crawls through here for takeoff and crawls out once they're underway. And then again for landing he'll crawl back here for safety reasons. I'm not sure how much more safety that's going to afford him, but there we go. So the tubing on top of the cockpit coaming leads to the fuel gauge, which has been relocated inside the pilot's cockpit. Oh, right, okay. There, look. Interesting. Okay. Then we're going to put in the engine controls, and we've got engine controls. We've got the hand air pressure for pressurising the fuel tank, the air pump, I should say. This is the bit I forgot when I was doing the AEG review recently, because yeah, they had to pressurise the fuel with a hand pump, which looks like a bicycle pump basically. And then you've got your carbonate bomb racks. Look at this. Little carbonate bombs. Optional internal 20 kilogram carbonate bombs. Aren't they fantastic? Then you've got your instruments going in here. And you have a decal on. That's calling out all the decals for each one. Instrument board. Front fuselage strut. Because of course this fuselage is kind of suspended up on top of the wing in effect. It's a very strange arrangement, isn't it? The rear strut, it's got like a foot to it. Looks very flimsy really, but anyway. A lot of them were. Then you've got this lovely illustration showing what the colours should look like. And you've got your, where is it? Sorry, I missed that. The control wheel, I missed that when I was busy looking at the map case and things. So there's a control wheel, it's steered like almost like a ship or a car. And there it is, the control wheel. And then you've got the close-up showing the interior rigging going up to the control wheel itself. Oh, that looks tricky. My goodness. Front and middle fuselage sections here. And then you're building up the sides, obviously, on the fuselage. Drilling a couple of holes for rigging. Putting those two sides on, you've got this like a pulpit arrangement again at the front for the commander, which of course has the guns, and there's a lovely photograph here, and it says, I'm just going to kill that light, because again I think the light is just being a little bit too powerful. There we go. And it says here, fuselage front and centre section detail from a Gotha G.1. Note the LMG-14 Parabellum machine guns, single core radiators fitted with a small section of shielding to prevent overcooling. Oh yes. In the wintry conditions, and slightly different tone of very light grey used on the nose. The exact purpose of the dark rod between the starboard engine and the nose is unconfirmed. Dark rod, is that not just a support rod? Looks like a sport brace rod to me. But it would have helped provide some form of heating. Oh, maybe it's just like a maybe it's just like a little radiator in effect into the cabin. How interesting. Oh, and that would go in where? That would come in here, wouldn't it? That would come in about there. There. That's interesting. Obviously they haven't found another example. It may have been a unique example. And then you've got the cockpit combing here going in. Lovely, it's got this padded, like leather padded orifice sort of lip, if you know what I mean. Ooh, missus. And then you've got the gun ring going in, and you can see the gunners, it's actually the commander, isn't it? Acting as the gunner at the front here. And then it says, overhead view of an unidentified Gotha, showing the initial style of cockpit combing. And wing root cutout. Note the engine control rods. Note the engine control rod. You see there, you don't see that, there's no sign of that that rod that was in the other photograph. So it looks like it was a unique example. Anyway, it goes on to say, look at the control rods at the fuel tank filler cap, which is 57 in the middle. So that's the fuel tank there. So the fuel tank is basically positioned here, isn't it? Good Lord. So they're actually operating between the fuel tank. External fuel gauge and single IMG Spandau. Good Lord. And then you've got the second production version. Modified it. So you've got initial production combing, second production combing, which has got a different type of cutout, like a cupola almost. How interesting. And then the third version has got a cupola gun ring. A cupola gun ring as well. An additional gun ring. That's very interesting, isn't it? Wow. So 3 versions. Then you've got the pulpit gun ring. The pulpit gun ring is the one at the front, obviously, as per at the top of that photograph. And then you got the rear fuselage, and this is almost like, it looks like a canoe, doesn't it, really? Look at this. Oh, wow. Now you can see here what they meant when they said it was a bit weak. Said it's rather weak because it's very long, isn't it, and a bit under-engineered perhaps, which is unusual for the Germans. It says the rear fuselage sitting here. Note the rear bulkhead appears very dark, and how the field grey finish of the fabric has been chipped away in areas revealing the original linen. Oh yes. Looks like a bullet hole. Is that a bullet hole? Looks like it might be. And then you've got the tailplane here, and it's got horizontal tailplane and elevator, fin and rudder. Tailplane detail from the second production order Gotha G1, seen on page 24. Note the dark painted wooden rear of the fuselage, pale struts and conjoined elevator halves. Oh yes. Huh. Looks, yeah. It looks... It's just that fuselage that to me looks wrong. It's just too flimsy looking. But anyway, obviously it was. And then you can see that you've got these conjoined elevator halves here. I think it may be in one piece, maybe not. And then you've got the struts, and you've got these vertical tails. It looks a lot more modern, doesn't it? It's almost echoes of the Lancaster design of the future. Obviously they may take inspiration from these earlier aircraft. And then you've got your Benz engine. 150 horsepower Benz B3, so this is nice because it's different from the usual Daimler Mercedes we're used to. Bit of a different design, bit of a different appearance, some lovely photos there. Got all your engine bearers going in here. That's what I love about Wingnut Wings there, the way they did this, you know. Tells you what the parts are. You know, you don't get anything in. Border Model just brought out. Let me just have a quick rant. Hang on, I'm going to have a break for a rant and a cup of coffee. Just let me have a slurp. So Border Model have just brought out this Focke-Wulf 190 A4. Is it A4? It's one. Oh, you know the one I mean. Anyway, it's thereabouts. I think it's several versions. And it looks like it's typical of them. The plastic looks great, apart from it being in 1/35th scale. I'm not sure about that. And the instructions, I've seen the instructions. There's all sorts of mistakes. The colour call out calls it a Messerschmitt FW190, which is just tells you everything you need to know about the quality of QC and the standard of checks that go on in these companies in China. Abysmal. And there's no descriptions, there's no English used barely at all. And worst of all, and this is my real beef actually with these border kits, it's not an anti-Chinese thing. It doesn't matter where they come from. It's basic stuff. They don't have any colour call-outs for any of the parts. And it's got a full engine, so you've got no idea what colours to paint it in. You've got to go off doing months and months of research. Also, one person, so, you know, if 5,000 people around the world, or 10,000, buy this kit, 10,000 people have to go off and do the same research because one person couldn't be bothered. It's ridiculous. Look at the standards here. It's exactly what people want. Nothing's changed apart from Wingnut Wings going out of business. That we've seen with the Qatari sort of Phoenix company, you might say, certainly in terms of the employees. They understand. They understand exactly what I'm talking about, and they've got it right. What is wrong with people like Border? Yeah, Kinetic. Yeah, Great Wall Hobby's another one, and the list goes on and on and on. I mean, Kitty Hawk with the same. I give up. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy doing research, but there are limits. You know, you shouldn't have to research every damn part. That's just stupid. Anyway, rant over. Back to the joy of the Wingnut Wings. Well, you can see what I'm saying, can't you? I mean, here not only do they tell you what they are, they tell you what all the components are. So you're learning. It's a learning process as we're going through it. You learn a bit about the engineering of the aircraft. Then they show you the colours. You get an idea what they should look like. You're not left in the dark, are you? Anyway, here we've got the bottom wing and the engine nacelles. Bottom wing has actually got dihedral. Didn't realise that actually. Dihedral in the outer sections. Interesting. The centre section has the engines and then it suspends the cockpit from it, above it, and then you've got these engines going in here in the nacelles, and you've got the engine control rods. Wow, it looks very crude, doesn't it? Okay. Starboard exhaust manifold. Oh yeah, they've got the exhaust manifolds in there as well. Look at that. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. The manifold goes right on top in effect, and then it shows it here, and it says, note the engine control rods, F21. Note the engine control rods, F21, yes. Fuel line, style of exhaust manifold and radiator details. Oh yes, you can see it all there, fantastic. And then we've got radiator paired core, so it's like a twin radiator, and it's got the Benz logo on it, very something's never changed, yeah. See it here, that's the three-pointed star. That looks very nice, and that goes sort of very crudely sort of sitting on top, slightly outboard of the engines, and then you've got your little bit of cowling to go on for a bit of aerodynamics. And then down here we've got the Daimler Mercedes-powered Gotha. Was a production prototype and the first aircraft completed from the initial production order. It's quite an achievement, isn't it, really? Note the twin core radiators seen only on 915 and 1015, bomb dropping cage and the IMG Spandau on the front. Bomb dropping cage being... trying to spot it. I'm struggling, I don't know if you guys are seeing this. Bomb dropping cage, where are we looking? Is it at the side there? It's not A8. Doesn't make it that clear. Anyway. And then there's the single core version of the radiator. So again, there are two variants here. We've got single core radiators as well, and they are obviously just a full width. So something like they say, well, instead of having two, let's just have one unit. So I'm thinking this is the after the prototype. And then you've got radiator water pipes. Okay, shows them going in again. Similarly, you then put that in place with your cowlings going on. Single core radiators, integral propellers, style of wheel covers and location of the small hole on the port side under the nose tentatively identify this initial production order aircraft as Gotha G.1 12/15. Note the bomb drop-in cage for safely dropping the 20... now I get it. It wasn't that... Now we can see it a bit clearer. It's basically a tubular cage. Can we see that? It's here. It's here. Like a tubular cage that you drop the carbonate bombs down. And it says, safely dropping the carbonate bombs behind the propellers, which was quickly supplanted by the bomb fairing visible under the centre section. The bomb fairing visible under the centre section. Okay. So they realise that the aerodynamics are becoming a bit of an issue here, and the bombs are falling into the propellers. Because the propellers are very close together on this aircraft. They're very close actually. And it goes on to say, note the IMG-08 Spandau armament at the front, the mounting of the anemometer. The mounting of the anemometer. I'm struggling to see that. Where's the anemometer? I'm struggling. I don't know about you. On the starboard wing. Oh, it's there. It's there. It's just beyond the radiator, I think. Here. See it? It appears to be unique, and if this is indeed 1215, it's been moved to the port wing by the time the photos later were taken on page 25. Okay. Right, we got there in the end. Okay, so oh, this is going to be this looks complicated. This does. We've got some wing struts on the top wing going on. Interplane struts. Interwing struts, if you like. And then you've got to put all these struts across, and then you're going to put the ailerons and these like fillets, which are original or wing root cutouts they call it, like a fillet that goes in. You've got starboard and port ailerons going in, showing the washout. Interesting. Yeah, you can see it's like a bird's wingtips, isn't it? Clean up the seam lines, it says. Clean up seam lines on Wingnut Wings, really? I'll mark you down for that. No, I'm just joking. Obviously, they just want you to have a perfect fit. And it's starting to look like a real weird contraption at this point, isn't it? Place wing assembly upside down on a flat surface and allow glue to dry properly. So that's the way to get your dihedral correct. By turning it upside down and making it into anhedral. Wow, don't forget. Wing detail from the second production order Gotha G1 can be seen on page 24. Note the interplane struts, the rigging and the aileron washout. That the tips come up. Very good. Undercarriage and fuselage. Oh, sorry, I'm just going to have another quick slurp. I'm just conscious that because I've got a nice non-alcoholic, healthy hot drink today. It's going cold. Anyway, so let's have a look. We're going to get into the undercarriage now and the fuselage itself. So you've got to build up the starboard undercarriage and then the port. And it has, I guess it's got some, looks like it's Continental tyres, I think it's Continental. We'll see that when we get into the detail. So you build those up, they've got like a skid between, like a trailing skid, which was typical in World War I anyway. And then we are, it shows a bit of undercarriage detail in the photograph there, and it says, note that the tailplane is being held up by a trestle. seen on page 25. So there is no weight to apply to the undercarriage leaf springs. Yeah, okay. And then it says here, fuselage and wing centre section detail on the second production order, which is seen on page 24. Note the footsteps, engine nacelle, aileron control cables under the cockpit, enlarged wing root cutouts, and the engine control rods. It's quite a good photo, isn't it? I'll zoom you in a bit for that. I think I want to see that in a bit more detail. That's quite a nice photo. You really do get to see all, it's nice and sharp, you get to see plenty of detail there. Right. Okay, moving on. Bombs, propellers and accessories. So here we go, the carbonate bombs. Okay, so this is the fairing. So okay, so this is like a dual system. So they've got, oh, this is amazing. Look at this. So you've got a fairing which contains the bombs, it's sort of very much World War II fashion. Then you've got the bombs, that's for the small ones, the 20 kilogram ones. The 50 kilogram ones, the bigger one, you drop them through this dropping cage. How remarkable. I wonder if that's photo etch or not. We'll see later. Then you've got the tail skid trestle. You can see, it says here, you can see the carbonate bomb fairing detail. This time there's a bomb rack under the wing, which is obviously one of the slightly later ones. And then it's got a closer up photo of the bomb dropping cage. Wow, this is absolutely great stuff. What great detail here. And then you've got the propellers going on, the integral or the Reshka propeller options, depending on which version you're doing. But look at the way look at this beautiful instructions. Look at the way they've called this out. It leaves you in no doubt how it should look. That is magnificent. Oh, gorgeous, that. Gorgeous. And then we're into the machine guns. It's the usual sort of standard fare. And again, I'll repeat myself. You have these three options. You can either use the Parabellum here. You can use the standard part D21, or go for D20 and then shroud it with the cooling jacket, which comes in the photo etch. Or you can. My final option would be, if the budget allows, go to gas patch models from Greece, and I'm pretty sure that they've got these available, which they do in resin and a bit of photo etch. And it's the only thing it's the only aftermarket on Wingnut Wings that I would recommend personally, is to go and get some of those, because they really are amazing when you see them. They're much nicer than the standard plastic ones. But there's nothing wrong with these, and again, if you paint them right and detail them up right, they'll look okay, look nice. You know, nobody's going to notice whichever way you go. As long as if you do the PE, you get your tubular effect to make the cylinder of the jacket correct. And here we go. Here's a chap doing a bit of target practice, testing the Parabellum. And then you've got the Spandau empty machine gun belt reel. And they were a reel rather than a drum usually. Yeah, it was a reel for the bullets and then a drum for catching the spent shells. As you can see, there's a photo here. Ah, yes. Interesting. Yeah, note the reel for winding the spent ammunition belt. Oh, actually, so the action of the gun itself makes the belt move, and then the reel is just a free-flowing reel, I think. I don't think it's powered. I think it just winds it up. Isn't that cool? Look at the Becker cannon. Look at this. Ooh, 20mm Becker cannon. Oh God, that's interesting. Experimentally fitted to an unidentified production aircraft. Note the magazine has been removed and the receiver is pulled back. 20 centimetre. 20mm, that's quite big for World War I, I'd say. Quite a powerful cannon. And then we've got the armament continued, where you're going to put in the you've got your windscreen, and you've got your bomb sights going in, anemometers going in, and then you're going to go into the detail here of how your Parabellum gets mounted at the front, and then the Spandau in this second little here you've got that second cupola set up. So you've got quite a lot of armament here, haven't you? And And I must admit, when I saw the pictures on the artwork, I had it in my head that the gunner was going to sit behind the pilot, but he doesn't. He actually he does sit at this cupola here, or this position, if you like, further back. So you've got a commander and a gunner and a pilot, basically. And then it shows the 20mm Becker cannon there. I'd be very tempted to go with that Becker cannon, I've got to say. Very impressive. And then you can see the chaps there in the photograph. There they are, the airmen. And then here we have got, I'll zoom back for this, rigging guide. Oh Lord. Oh, this is going to take a little... It's like Captain Oates, isn't it, in the Antarctic? I may be gone sometime. You will be gone sometime doing this, I'll tell you. If you choose to install rigging on your model, please drill out the location holes with a 1/2 millimetre drill bit to a depth of at least 1 millimetre to remove paint and improve the adhesion. Do yourself a favour. Sounds like adamant, doesn't it? Do yourself a favour. And music. Sorry, I've gone off at a tangent. Do yourself a favour and make the rigging as simple as possible by using stretchy elastic type material like Easy Line, etc., and not trying to replicate turnbuckles, because what they're basically saying, they're admitting that you'll end up turning to madness if you try any of that stuff. However, turnbuckles are kind of, they really are the last word, aren't they? I'm just trying to vary my light here. There we go. Turn the light off a bit. But yeah, turnbuckles can lead to madness, basically. So, yeah. Anyway, now we got to the end pretty much, and now we're into the detail stuff and the colour call-outs. Look at these lovely photographs. Look at this. It's a monster of an aircraft, it really is. Despite the stenciling of 4415 on the length of the wood support in the centre section, this is the disassembled mid and rear fuselage of Gotha G.1 1115. Note the style of cupola gun ring. The style of the cupola gun ring, okay, up here. And the 50kg carbonate bomb rack is visible under the starboard wing. Here. There. And the Benz engine in their nacelles. The wrecked starboard bottom wing rib and damaged rear inner interplane strut. Yes, knackered here and here. Oh dear, snapped. Are perhaps the result of a crash seen on page 21. It is possible that the Gotha had crashed prior to 1115, and some components salvaged from 4415 were used to keep it flying, such as the mismatched outer top wing panels, which you see on page 21. Okay, let's move on then. Yeah, here we go. This is the Fliegersatzabteilung Sonderstaffel, July to September 1915. Look at the monster that it is. It's a beast, isn't it? Look how bird-like it looks from above. Look at the angle of the wings. It's like a bird. And it says here, I'll zoom in a bit. It says here, from the initial production order of 6 aircraft placed in April 15, this was the first G1 to be powered by the Benz BZ3 engines. It was delivered to the Fliegersatzabteilung 7, FEA 7, based in Cologne, on July 15, where along with the G15 and possibly the Fokker E1/115 and later the G1, these numbers do my head in, G1 1115, it was tasked with defending the Krupp Steelworks as part of the Sonderstaffel. Defending the Krupp Steelworks? It's a bomber. What's the idea of that? I think they're talking more about the Fokker E1 there. But anyway, this photograph of the G1 is from a lineup including 915 and 1115, was taken in late August to September 1915. At this time, Gotha G1 was armed with a single LMG-14 Parabellum for aerial fighting. They would later have a bomb dropping cage installed, which was subsequently removed, before finally having a bomb fairing added. Note the paired core radiators, twin one, only seen on the 160 horsepower Daimler Mercedes D3 powered Gothas. No anemometer appears to have been installed on this one. Okay. Then we've got the Fliegersatz-Abteilung Sonderstaffel 7 S1, late 15 and early 16. Different colouring. You've got this lovely pale blue, like a sky blue underneath. In fact, they're not big on the camouflage, are they? Actually, compared to the other aircraft, there's no lozenge or anything like that, and it's quite a low-key camo, you could say. Yeah. Oh, this is the crash one they mentioned earlier. This was delivered on the in August 15. The photograph shown here. Oops. Photograph shown here was taken at a later date. It had received a fuselage cross updated cockpit combing with an additional gun ring, had its original serial number overpainted, and perhaps most interesting, had the underside of the fuselage, wings and tailplane painted in a pale blue colour. So it was obviously unusual then. How interesting, there is the pale blue. Although not 100% confirmed, this is believed to show a crashed Gotha G.1. Note by the time the photo was taken that the outer wing panels were paler than the centre panels. Oh yes, you can see that, can't you? Definitely. And may have been replacements salvaged from another aircraft. Yes, it looks like it, doesn't it? See what I mean now. And then out in the winter snow of 1915 to 16. Unarmed Gotha has its engines running up ready for takeoff. It looks very cold, doesn't it, actually? So right wrapped up. And then we have here armed with two Parabellum machine guns. But it does not appear to be carrying any bombs in its fairing. It says two, I can't only see one. Got my eyes. Maybe it's just the angle. The underside colour of the wings is the pale blue. The top leading edge and the tips appear to remain in their original field grey finish. The leading edge and tips of the bottom wings appear to have been overpainted in a darker colour. Perhaps black. Leading edge. Oh yes, here. There. And then another shot of it, different angle. The original serial number has been overpainted. The modified cockpit combing with cupola gun ring and tail skid trestle. Wow. Excellent. And then we've got the Field Fliegerabteilung 37, September 15. Photograph taken during its journey to the Eastern Front shows it had the 20 kilogram carbonate bomb fairing fitted to the underside of the wings. Also the bomb racks were fitted, as you can clearly see here. And then in this one, the Kagol 1, late 15. These guys were about served at the Ostend region, late December 15. Note what appears to be the large Gotha factory decal, number 27. Number 27 here on the front. Applied on the nose. Oh yes, you can see it there. Oops, there. And then here, yeah, and this shows you the side, and then we've got some more lovely pictures. Nice photographs here, they're really good. So sharp. Look how the tail elevator looks like it's dragging on the ground, touching the ground, when there's no trestle. I can't have done it much favours, it's a bit of a clearance issue. Perhaps the tail skid is too short. From the same production order, it said. Sorry, I'll zoom you out a bit. It's quite big, this. So, set from the same production order, this is possibly 4350 without its 20 kilogram carbonate bomb fairings installed in the middle, because they're certainly absent. Various matte and gloss areas. It has an overall weathered looking finish. The wing mounted anemometer does not seem to be fitted to this one. And then it says here, this one called Fedora, is written on the front. It's from the same production batch and delivered and was sent to the Eastern Front in 1915. It shows the Spandau mounted on the second gun ring, quite clearly visible there, yep. But other photos show that this was replaced by a Parabellum and the Spandau was moved to the front gun ring. Well, that's the opposite to normal, isn't it, interestingly. Other photos believed to have taken in September 1916 show a single LMG Parabellum mounted on the front gun ring, which is more normal. Note the Resch propellers 20 kilogram carbonate bomb fairing and the 50 kilogram bomb racks. Well, the bomb rack's a little bit hard to see, I've got to be honest, in that photo, but anyway. Last page, folks. Fantastic this is. This is one of their best ever. This ranks up with the Felixstowe Duelist instructions, I think. By the time these photos of the Gotha G.1 reported taken at Cagole 2, it has received fuselage cross along with having its serial number reapplied further forward in its original position. It has also been fitted with the fairings over the commander's pulpit and centre cockpit. It does not have a 20 kilogram carbonate bomb fairing. Nope, you can see there's nothing underneath the middle. Note the Oscar Orizna, I keep getting this wrong, Ursinus trademark applied to the centre of the fuselage, which is there, I think. It's like a bird flying with a. You know, I was gonna do that then, like you do with your iPad. To zoom it. That doesn't work on paper. Sorry, folks. The photograph here shows a fatal crash of the Gotha G1 on the 3rd of October. Shows the inherent danger of having the fuselage higher than the top wings. Yes, very dangerous. Because there's nothing to protect you at all, is there? You know, you're all sticking out and you're going to get hit. Both members reportedly crushed when structural failure caused the fuselage to come apart and flip over on landing. Well, it's because it's so flimsy you can actually see it's structurally failed. It's this long tail section, isn't it? The fuselage section, it's cracked at the weak point, sort of there. Usually a relatively harmless occurrence for traditional biplane designs. Note the bomb dropping cage has been removed, but the semicircular cutout at the leading edge of the bottom wing section appears to remain. The bomb cage. Okay, just about make it out, I think, there. Wow. No, it's there, sorry, that's the bit we're talking about. So there would be the cage dropping down from there. Well, that's rather sad, isn't it? Because they must have been killed. And then finally, the original Oscar Ursinus designed Friedel Ursinus Kampfflugzeug FU B109214 in modified form with balanced ailerons and Hasnet radiators to kill its 100 horsepower Daimler Mercedes D1 engines. The unequal span wings, angled outermost interplane struts and tailplane are the most identifiable differences between this and the Gotha G1. Oh, okay. That's interesting, isn't it? Huh. And then we have the great guys from Wingnut Wings, many of whom are now working at Qatar. Many, if not all, in fact. Well, I need a glass of wine or champagne or something. I'll have to make do with coffee though, because it will keep me awake. I feel exhausted already. It's gone cold. Yuck. Right, there we go. Wonderful, wonderful instructions. Truly, truly wonderful. Now then, I'm going to really carefully do this. I must be careful. You saw the decals in the instructions. I can't open the bags, obviously, but here we go. Look at that. So it's 2017. This one came out. It's one of the later ones. You can see you've got the fedora markings there. Look. And we've also got, this is the Ursinus factory logo that we spoke of. Oops, sorry, helps me get in the right place. That's the factory logo there. Then we've got various instrumentations. We've got the Kreutzers and the traditional sort of World War I Gotha style markings. Very nice. I'm just trying to figure out what that one is. That's one of the ID markings, I think, for one of the variants. Very nice decals. Over the other side, of course, we have got our photo etch with the gun sights included, a couple of gun sights, and the safety belts. So that is that. Then we are going to start with this one. So here we go. I noticed for some reason they seem to have got our ID little ID labels included in some of these. You can see the ID label there, moving about. There it goes. Because it's the Benz 3 engine, so it's differentiating itself. So here is the Benz 3 sprue. This is, yeah, I won't put the light on, it'll make things too difficult. Too many reflections. And then you've got all your cylinder heads detailed. Which is very nice. And then you've got the sump. And your cylinder head. Over here you've got the, just move that tag away because it's distracting. Over here you've got your cupola rings and your gun ring detail. And these are the three that are not used, I understand from the instructions, these three variants. I think that's because they end up in the UWD, different propeller designs. So we'll sort of skip over those. So that's that one. That was sprue E. There's two of those. Let's get into the proper plastic then. Look at this monster. Oh, this is when I need a wide angle lens. Look at this. Eesh. So, if I can just change the angle of that slightly, that's better, isn't it, I think? So, what have we got? We'll start over here with our carbonate bombs, I think. They're quite cool, aren't they? Look at these monsters. Wow, those are cool, aren't they? Very nicely moulded as well. Right down to the sort of tips of the bomb. Fantastic. Awesome. Then you've got all this nice combing. Just zoom out slightly for that. You've got this nice combing, you've got this sort of rippled effect in the leather that is trimming around the rim. You can see that that's really well done. It's on all of those sort of the cupola stroke orifice that you have there. And then you've got these propellers. Now these, I believe, are the ones that you will use for the Daimler, sorry, for the Benz P3 engine. You've got these big, huge struts, of course. A lot of struts on this aircraft. Critical part of the plane. And then over here you've got that additional little cupola there, which of course is on the optional sort of second gun cupola. The raised version that's like almost like a tank cupola, isn't it? Then you've got your nacelles here for the engine. We have part of the forward fuselage. It's actually quite difficult to get this in, and it's going to be upside down, I'm afraid, folks. But this is the top, and this is the bottom. I can't turn it in the way because it's so big. I just can't get it in the frame. Then you've got your exhaust manifolds here, and then you've got the engine control rods. Aren't they nice? They're very finely done. Look at this. Engine control rods there. And just again, this is part of the. This is the tail cones of the bomblets, the 50 kilogram carbonate bombs. These are the ones that drop down the chute, the cage, and here's some more of them here. They're fantastic, aren't they? Very, very impressive indeed. Yeah, so the ones that I think the ones that drop down the chute have got this like a shroud around the back end, circular shroud, and the ones that are just going to drop in the air from the racks or the fairing, they don't have it. As you can see, if I get it in the camera, there we go. As you can see. Right then, that's impressive. Very. Next one, beautiful plastic this is. Then we have a duplication set. This particular sprue. So here we've got some we've got tailplane with the rudder. Isn't that nice? That's very well moulded, isn't it? Look at that vertical tailplane. You can see it's got the rudder moulded into it. And you've got other bits of the exhaust manifolds, Spandau machine gun here, which are really nice, but I say they're not quite gas patch, you know, they're not quite, and then the same goes with the parabellum here. with or without the shroud, which obviously you use the photo etch shroud on it as the option. We've got more carbonate bombs here. Again, both types, the tube version and the freefall version. And then we have got wheels. Come back a bit for this. Got our wheels and wheel trims. And then over here we've got this is the tube cylindrical back end of the tail of the bombs again. And there's quite a lot of bombs. I've got to say, there's a lot of bombs in the kit. I must have counted at least 20 bombs by now. And then you've got various other support struts and parts of the engine cowlings here. Very, very nice. There's a 50, one of the 50 kilogram carbonate bombs right there. See the two types, can't you? Amazing, amazing. And then next we have clear parts. Ta-da! The clear parts here, it's just one in fact. It's just a little sort of vestigial windscreen, which is for the pilot only. Let's just have a look, I guess. Then, zoom out, sorry about that. Got to zoom out for this one because it's absolutely massive. Look at the size of this sprue. Oh lordy, look at this. So this is the main fuselage, which is, yeah, you can see how long it is. Look at the size of this. It's massive. Good gracious me. And then you've got the elevators here. Which are big. Big. They're actually in... Is that two different versions of the elevator? Oh no, I'm wrong, sorry. They're not the elevators. I can tell by the washout on them. That's what made me realise. It's actually the ailerons. It's the ailerons. Got washout built into them. Here's your elevators, which are really big, just above. Look at those. Here's your instrumentation and your pilot's seat cushion here. And then you've got the that great big centre wing section. Turn it the way up, probably easier. Huge centre wing section. Come out a bit. There. Which is going to have your nacelles for your engines on it. Oh. There's your. Oh, that's nicely done. There is the pilot's control wheel. There. If you look very closely, you can actually see it's got it's like a knurled, like an old style steering wheel from the 50s or 60s on a car. It's got little knurled finger grips on it. That's a really nice piece of moulding, that is. Oh gosh! And then we've got these rather worryingly weak-looking legs here, which are, this is what supports the fuselage between the wings, basically. Just doesn't look strong enough, does it? Yeah. What a weight going through there. It's not the most sturdy design of aircraft, is it? I wonder if there's so many accidents, frankly. It's no surprise to me at all. And then last but not least, I can't believe we've got through it already actually. It's just the parts are massive. Look at this. I'm going to have to zoom you right back for this one. This is absolutely huge. So here we have the tail planes and the wings. There's my hand against it. Look how big they are. Look at the size of these wings. This is a big model. This is going to fill your desk. Look at the size of that. That's just one side of the wing, and that doesn't include the inboard section. That's just the sort of central and outboard part of the wing only. Absolutely incredible. Oh, a monster kit. And then over here we've got these tailplane section that's got the elevator. There's two different designs, isn't there? This is the other smaller version, I think, of the elevator. I'm not sure which version you use. I think one's on the UWD and one's on this version. I've just forgotten. But it's big. Excuse me. It's big. Well, it is absolutely mahoosive. Look at these. You see the rib? Can you see that? The ribs. You can see all the ribbing in the actual wing. Wow, that is just gorgeous. I'm slightly daunted by this, and I'm just thinking that we'll be looking at the UWD version, the seaplane version, which they only made the one of. And I know that Jason at Model Kit Stuff's building it. Well, I hope he's got a big cabinet, is all I can say. It's mind blowing. So it's going to be. This is going to be about. Well, it's going to exceed the width of one of these, isn't it? Oh, easily exceed it. It'll be out here. So it's actually about the width of the entire table desk I've got here. It's massive, this. Anyway, enough of that. Let me go and just wind back, and we will have our wind up because I'm almost exhausted and I need a proper drink tonight. I need to go off and have a real one. Let me just recover various bits and bobs from under here. My instructions and my decals need recovering. I'm going to, whether I actually put them back in this bigger bag, I'm not sure I actually don't bother because they're still sealed in their bag, so it's not like I've breached the bag open and handled any part of the kit. Nobody will object to that, I'm sure it's not going to be a problem. Just bear with me for a second or two because it's a bit of a delicate operation, obviously. There we go, there we go. I'm not going that way, yes it will. Not going that way. How's that? Two of those. But actually, that as full as you actually think it is. It's just that everything is huge. That's the biggest problem. Clear parts going there. And there we are. Right, well, there we go, folks. I'm going to go back to my normal glasses now so I don't look like Jeremy Corbyn. British politician that can't put his glasses on properly. There we are. Amazing. That is truly amazing, as kits go. I am so pleased that I bought that, I've got to say. It's remarkable. The instruction book itself is a joy, as they always are. 10 out of 10 from me, of course, inevitably. If I ever find a Wingnut Wings kit that isn't 10 out of 10, there's some major flaw in it, for sure. Probably just an odd rogue one, but we've never seen it yet. So there we are. That's the Wingnut Wings Gotha G.1 WW1 Bomber. A hell of a big aircraft, and frankly something I wouldn't want to be seen dead flying. Looks completely lethal. It's too, to me, it looks too top heavy. Probably isn't, of course, because it's got the weight of the engines lower down, but it just looks wrong, doesn't it? And you've got your head sticking. Ugh. Not a very safe environment to be working in again. Some of these German aircraft, they were fairly effective in battle, but they were not very durable. They were not very durable. That design doesn't look very durable at all. Now bear in mind, I'll put a link, but the Gotha G4 is the one that they developed later, the so-called baby bomber, because that's the one, of course, that rather unfortunately and unintentionally, it has to be said, bombed the school in London, amongst other places, and the hospital, I think, as well. One or two other areas in central London where there were children and infants in the school, and it blew them all to bits, and it was awful, just a terrible, and it really damaged the Germans' reputation as at the time, I mean, in terms of their approach, the ethical approach, and everybody assumed it was deliberate, and well, obviously that wasn't the case. The accuracy of the bombs wasn't great, let's be fair, but it was very unfortunate, and a lot of innocent kids were killed, and that's why they call it the baby bomber. But that's the G4. That became the standard toward the mid-late end of the war, and as you read, these were pensioned off because they were so flimsy, and yeah, very tricky aircraft indeed. But what a wonderful depiction of it, beautiful artwork, Absolutely fantastic. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I'll be back, as Arnie used to say. I will return. Return of the Modeler, not Return of the Jedi, because obviously we have the seaplane to have a look at, and we know our friend Jason's building one of these. That's going to make it doubly interesting. We will have a look at that in the very near future. In the meantime, thank you very much for joining me. Hope you'll give me a thumbs up, 10 out of 10, because I had to, be on my A game with my coffee today, and that's probably going to be the same with the other go through as well, because there's so much to get through. You need to, you can't be in any way too relaxed or under par when you're trying to go through it properly. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you'll all say well, stay safe, and I very much look forward to us meeting again in the near future. In the meantime, thanks a lot, and bye for now.